My wife was lying on the hospital bed, faking her death. I went straight up and slapped her hard twice. Then I called the organ donation department, planning to give her a heartfelt love donation. In my past life, I was too busy grieving. I drank water handed to me by my wife's best friend, then passed out for 3 days and 2 nights. When I woke up, my wife had already been cremated. Before I could even feel sad, debt collectors came knocking. That's when I found out my wife owed over 10 million in debt before she died. They not only took both my kidneys, but also forced me to work 24 hours a day to pay off the debt. In just 10 years, I looked like I was over 80. Right then, my wife, who'd been dead for 10 years, drove by in a luxury car, arm in arm with her lover. She smiled and threw $100 at me, saying, "Thanks for your sacrifice." I couldn't catch my breath and died on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my wife had her heart attack. Looking at my wife lying there under a white sheet, I smirked to myself, "Since you want to die, I'll help you." My wife's best friend, Wang Manyun, kept pushing me to drink water. I snapped out of it and looked at her. Last time, I passed out right after drinking that water. I'm almost 100% sure that water was spiked, just so I'd miss Liu Ruyan's cremation. I put down the glass. Ignoring Wang Manyun's protests, I walked over to Liu Ruyan's bed. I lifted the sheet. Liu Ruyan's face was rosy and her breathing seemed steady. It's just that last time I was too sad, too stupid to notice. I raised my hand and slapped Liu Ruyan hard across the face. She didn't move at all, probably sedated so she wouldn't get caught. Wang Manyun screamed, thinking I'd figured out Liu Ruyan was faking. "Brother-in-law, you can't be this harsh even if you're angry." I kept hitting Liu Ruyan all over her body. Seeing Wang Manyun about to lose it, I pretended to be heartbroken and cried out, "I told you not to stay up late to get checkups. Why didn't you listen? You're leaving me behind. What am I supposed to do?" Wang Manyun swallowed hard and just stood there stunned. I couldn't be bothered with her. I took out my phone and made a call. "Yeah, I'd like to donate some organs. She just died. Come quick." Wang Manyun wanted to stop me, but because of her position, she just quickly sent a text instead. The organ donation team arrived in just a few minutes. I put on a devastated face. My wife was always a kind person. Her sudden death, I want her life to continue to help more people. "Sir, you're a good man. On behalf of those families, thank you. Which organs would you like to donate?" I sighed and said, "My wife died of a sudden heart attack. I don't know which organs can still be used. Just cut her open, see what's usable, and take it. If nothing's usable, then donate her body to a med school as a cadaver." "No, brother-in-law. Ruyan never wanted to donate her organs. She told me. We have to respect her last wish." "Manyun, I'm Ruyan's husband. I can make this decision. You're just a close friend with no blood relation. Who gets to decide? You know the answer. And every minute you block this, the organs rot a little more. You're a doctor yourself. Don't you want to save lives?" The organ donation staff chimed in. "Yeah, Dr. Wang, please step aside." There's no way Wang Manyun would step aside. She was freaking out. I just called her mom. You at least have to let her see Ryan one last time. Liu Ruyan's mother, Du Xiaomin, rushed in anxiously, still wearing hair curlers. Guess she was in the middle of a salon visit. She saw Liu Ruyan still intact on the bed, sighed in relief, then slapped me across the face. "What good are you? Ruyan married you, and what bad luck did she get? My daughter died because of you, and now you want to cut her open? Anyone touches a hair on her, I'll kill their whole family. No donation. Go ruin someone else." The organ donation team felt bad, but they had no choice but to leave. Wang Manyun finally relaxed, picked up the white sheet, and covered Liu Ruyan. Du Xiaomin sat on the couch and started cursing me out again. "You piece of trash! Your own wife dies and you're not even sad. Instead of just cremating her and letting her rest in peace, you want to turn her into a cadaver? You want to be a good person, donate your own organs. Go die right now, I'll donate every part of you." I covered my face and sighed heavily. "Mom, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I just wanted to—" "You wanted to what? No! Get out of here right now, I'm taking my daughter to the crematorium myself." I shut up immediately. Acting timid, I handed her the glass of water that Wang Manyun had given me earlier. Du Xiaomin didn't suspect a thing. She was already thirsty from being so tense and yelling nonstop, so she downed it in one gulp. Wang Manyun couldn't stop her in time. Within 2 minutes of drinking it, Du Xiaomin passed out. Wang Manyun's sweat had just dried, but now it came pouring back. She stammered, Brother-in-law, you're not trying to donate her organs again, are you?" I shook my head and laid Du Xiaomin flat on the couch. "Of course not. Mom said no, so I won't do it anymore." Wang Manyun breathed a sigh of relief. "Auntie suddenly collapsed. It might be serious. You should take her to the ER. Let me handle Ruyan's cremation." Hearing that, I gave her a knowing smirk and said, "Actually, it's the other way around. You're the doctor. You should take care of the patient. I'm Ruyan's husband, so it makes more sense for me to arrange the cremation, don't you think?" Then I called the crematorium directly and told them to come right away. Wang Manyun was running around like a headless chicken, desperately trying to wake Du Xiaomin up. But no matter how hard she shook her, Du Xiaomin was out cold like a log. Finally, when the crematorium staff took Liu Ruyan away, Wang Manyun couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed my sleeve, her voice cracking. "Brother-in-law, I think I just saw Ruyan move. Maybe we can still save her." I shoved the death certificate in her face. "Manyun, think carefully before you speak. If Ruyan is actually alive right now, what responsibility does this hospital have? What responsibility do you have? That's murder. That's criminal negligence. I don't know if this hospital can stay open, but you're definitely going to jail, so think again. Did you really see Ruyan move?" Wang Manyun was at her wit's end. Having no idea how to argue back, I let out a cold laugh and pulled my hand away from hers. Then I followed the crematorium van. Wang Manyun gasped, then quickly picked up her phone and started making calls. I looked at Liu Ruyan lying on the stretcher, couldn't help but laugh, until I noticed her fingers seemed to twitch. Guess she knew she was about to be cremated, and the anesthesia was wearing off. She was starting to wake up. "Sir, please step on it. My mother-in-law is trying to steal my wife's body for organ donation, but I just want her to leave whole." The driver nodded. Then he slammed the gas pedal. In my past life, when I ran into Liu Ruyan on the street, 10 years later, her face barely changed, almost no trace of time. I threw myself in front of her car, wanting to make sure it was her, wanting to tell her how much I'd missed her all those years. Liu Ruyan squinted, took a long time to barely recognize me, and smiled. "Oh, it's you. It's only been 10 years. Why do you look older than my grandpa?" At that time, I was hoarse and hunched over, definitely didn't look like I was only 50. I stammered, "Aren't you dead?" She said, "I faked my death to get rid of you, ha 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 ha." She didn't finish, but I got it. If she'd just asked for a divorce, I would have agreed. But that would mean splitting her assets, and she'd be seen as a cheating gold digger. But faking death? Different story. Stick me with all the debt, transfer everything away, change her identity, and get together with Jibota without a care. I was too angry to speak. But Liu Ruyan seemed happy to keep talking, grinning at me. "Actually, back at the hospital, I could hear everything you said. The sound of you crying, I've never forgotten it. I'm really curious, how does a grown man cry like a honking goose? Ha 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 ha. So funny, ha 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 ha." I clutched my chest and collapsed under all that laughter. Jibota yelped, "Honey, is he trying to pull an insurance scam? Let's get out of here." Liu Ruyan also cursed the bad luck, then drove off without a second thought for me. The last thing I remember is their car driving away, then everything went dark. Now, looking at Liu Ruyan's young, pretty face, I leaned down on her chest and listened to her steady heartbeat. I poured out everything I didn't get to say in my past life. "I know you're not dead. Wei Chang'an cheated on you long ago, and you two staged all this just to run off together. Leave me to pay the debts, but I don't hate you. I'll respect your wish. Since you want to be dead, I'll send you to be cremated pronto. I know you can hear me right now, but I don't know if you feel pain. I hope you do. That way you can personally experience cremation. You might be the first person ever cremated alive." Liu Ruyan's fingers trembled slightly. She couldn't move, but tears ran down her face. I wiped her tears and said, "Don't cry yet. You'll have plenty of time to cry once you're inside the incinerator."
等下进了焚化炉，你再哭也来得及。
My phone kept buzzing, calls from Wang Manyun and Du Xiaoman. But hey, I'm just a poor guy who lost his wife. Totally normal that I can't answer the phone, right? Thanks to the driver's pedal to the metal style, a 30-minute trip took only 20 minutes. But the crematorium was busy today. Liu Ruyan's turn was at least an hour away. I frowned, found the manager, then changed my expression and started crying on cue. My wife died of a sudden heart attack. My mother-in-law fainted and is in the hospital. I have to get back fast. Please let my wife go first. I don't want to lose my mother-in-law too. The manager, seeing a cremation line cutter for the first time, said, "I get you're in a hurry, but others have been waiting too. Can't just let you cut in." That's what he said, but he made a hand gesture, clearly hinting for money. I got it, pulled out my phone and transferred him 2,000 yuan right away. "Brother, please help me out. I'm an orphan. My wife and mother-in-law have been so good to me." I really can't lose my mother-in-law too. The manager was moved by my sincerity, so Liu Ruyan jumped the line. Less than 10 minutes later, she was pushed into the incinerator. Just as the worker was about to hit the button, I stopped him. I can't let him be the killer. I want to do it myself. After I insisted, the worker let me press the button. But right then, the door burst open with Du Xiaoman and Wang Manyun's frantic voices. "Stop! Don't press it! Stop! Push my daughter out! Brother-in-law, wait! Auntie has something to say to Ruyan! Get lost. I won't let you cremate my daughter. I'll do it myself." Even at this point, they were still trying to keep the fake death plan alive. I knelt on the ground, heartbroken. "Mom, Ruyan is gone. Let her rest in peace. I'm her husband. I would never hurt her." Our shouting match drew a crowd. The workers looked at each other. What kind of soap opera is this? The crematorium isn't a stage. Then one worker reached for the button again. Wang Manyun and Du Xiaoman lunged at him like wild animals, faces twisted. Startled, the worker jumped aside. Wang Manyun and Du Xiaoman couldn't stop their momentum and slammed straight onto the button. Boom! Flames instantly swallowed Liu Ruyan. "Ah!" 2 screams rang out. Everyone turned to look at Wang Manyun and Du Xiaoman, but I stared hard at Liu Ruyan inside the incinerator. Liu Ruyan's anesthesia must have fully worn off. I could vaguely see her mouth open, her hand reaching out. But the commotion outside was too loud. No one noticed what was happening here. A minute passed. Everyone finally looked back at the incinerator. The crematorium workers whispered among themselves, fascinated. First time seeing a hand reach up that high. Like it's alive. Good thing it's daytime. If this were midnight, I'd swear it was a corpse coming back to life. I wiped tears that weren't really there, and pressed down the corners of my mouth that kept curling up. Then, pretending to be pitiful, I said, "My wife loved her mother-in-law the most. She must have heard her mom's voice and wanted to sit up one last time to see her." Then I wiped my tears toward the incinerator and said, "Honey, rest in peace. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Mom. I'll try my best to reunite you two soon." Wang Manyun ignored Du Xiaoman, who had collapsed on the floor. She stumbled over, saw what was inside the incinerator, and nearly died of fright. She frantically pressed the incineration button. The fire wouldn't go out. "Put it out! Put out the fire!" The staff had never seen such an agitated family member before. They quickly pushed Wang Manyun away. "Ma'am, we know you're sad. But the dead can't come back to life. Like this, she won't rest easy. Wang Manyun's face was deathly pale. She plopped straight onto the ground. It's over, this is completely ruined. Du Xiaoman crawled to my feet using her hands and feet, grabbed my pants leg and cursed bitterly. You bastard, you killed my daughter! Give me back my daughter's life! I sighed, pulled out the death certificate and said, Mom, I know you're hurting, but Ruyan's death has nothing to do with me. She died of a sudden heart attack. Ask Manyun. She was the one who tried to save Ruyan and the one who issued this death certificate. After saying that, I turned to look at Wang Manyun, barely holding back a smile. Am I right, Manyun? Wang Manyun had no idea what to say. If she said Ruyan wasn't dead, then where did the death certificate come from? If she said she was dead, Du Xiaoman wouldn't believe it. But when I said that, Du Xiaoman caught on too. You killed my daughter! My daughter was alive! Why issue a death certificate? Now my daughter's been cremated, this is all your fault. Those words were too harsh. Everyone present was shocked. The staff turned pale. Oh my god, this is murder. Hearing that, Du Xiaoman's eyes rolled back and she passed out cold. I snapped back quickly and slapped Wang Manyun across the face. Manyun, are you sick? How could you joke about something like that? My wife is dead. Why would you say something so messed up? Wang Manyun was stunned. The staff assumed she was making a sick joke and went back to their own work. Watching Liu Ruyan's cremation finish, I pretended to be furious and left the crematorium with her ashes. Before leaving, I made sure to leave one last remark for Wang Manyun. You randomly scared Mom into fainting. You're responsible for taking her to the hospital. Not that I don't want to stay and watch the drama, but I've got bigger things to do. Back home, I casually placed Liu Ruyan's ashes in a visible spot in the living room. Then I immediately contacted a lawyer and started the process of inheriting her company and assets. In my past life, I was too grief-stricken. By the time I snapped out of it, the company was gone. If I don't act fast this time, Du Xiaoman will beat me to it once she wakes up. Lawyer Chen, Ruyan died suddenly, but she mentioned some family trusts and offshore accounts to me before. I want you to use every connection you have and figure out her real financials within 48 hours. On the other end of the line, Chen Jianzhang hesitated. Mr. Lin, based on public records, Ms. Liu only has a few properties and a consulting firm on the verge of bankruptcy, plus tens of millions in debt, right? Lawyer Chen, Liu Ruyan is a woman sharp to the bone. She'd rather fake her death than divorce. That means the assets she's protecting are worth way more than that debt. Help me dig. Triple your fee. Heavy reward, brave takers. The next afternoon, I received an encrypted email from Lawyer Chen. Just as I suspected, Liu Ruyan used her so-called medical consulting company for long-term money laundering and asset transfers. Through Wang Manyun's doctor connections, she bought large amounts of illegal prescription drug formulas and parked them under several offshore companies. Even more ironic, I discovered a secret safe. The address was in that rundown garage. When I pushed open the rusty rolling door, the stench of mold hit me. In this corner I'd never set foot in during my past life, I pried open a hidden compartment. No jewelry, just stacks of cash and several crypto wallets. Tens of millions in debt? Liu Ruyan, you plan to let me struggle in hell with your debts while you flew overseas with millions in Bitcoin to play house with Jibo Yuan? I counted. Just the cash here was over 2 million. Instead of rushing to deposit it, I contacted the lenders Liu Ruyan owed the most. The best way to deal with loan sharks isn't hiding, it's buying them off. I invited the heads of those companies to an upscale private club. Gentlemen, Liu Ruyan has been cremated. Here's the death certificate. I'm sure you've already heard. Mr. Lin, just because someone died doesn't mean their debt disappears. You're the primary heir. You have to pay this back. I never said I wouldn't. Here's 2 million. Consider this a goodwill gesture. Part of the interest up front. I'll handle the rest of the debt by taking over Liu Ruyan's company and legally pledging the equity back to you. But there's one condition. Du Xiaoman, Liu Ruyan's mother, and that guy Jiboda, they might still be sitting on some of Ruyan's hidden money. They're spreading rumors everywhere, accusing me of murder, trying to dodge the inheritance this way. If they succeed, you won't get a single cent. What Mr. Lin is saying is, don't let them mess with my daily life, and while you're at it, let them taste what it's like to be hounded by debt collectors. Since they want evidence, I'll let them drown in a swamp of debt first. Liu Ruyan's company is called Ruyan Trading. Fancy name, but it's really a dirty shell company. First day taking over, I brought 12 big security guys. The financial director, Wang Qin, who's also Wang Manyun's cousin, was standing there holding documents, pale as a ghost. Mr. Lin, this isn't really standard procedure. Mr. Liu just left and you're already firing us old employees so publicly? Standard procedure. Embezzling 380,000, ripping up incoming invoices. Director Wang, do you want to talk procedure with me or discuss life with the Economic Investigation Unit? I'll give you half an hour. Copy every single email and transaction record between Liu Ruyan and Jiboda from your computer. Do it right and that 380,000 is your severance. Screw it up and you can go join your cousin in prison. In less than 20 minutes, I had everything I wanted. That included proof that Liu Ruyan illegally transferred assets to Jiboda, plus the digital contracts for overseas properties they bought together. This was stuff Liu Ruyan had planned to use as leverage to restart her life after faking her death. Now it's become the knife I'm using to charge them with fraud and asset transfer. The sky was overcast. I stared at the numbers jumping in my bank account, feeling nothing inside. Liu Ruyan's fixed assets, the digital assets in her cold wallet, plus the equity from the restructured company, totaled over 50 million. And that 10 million in debt, under my management, it got reclassified as Liu Ruyan's personal fraudulent debt. Since the person is deceased, and her assets have been liquidated to cover debts. The remaining bad debt was all dumped onto Du Xiaoman, the guarantor. This is the final gift I gave her. Hey, honey. Thanks for everything. Now I've got money, a house, a company. I'll try my best to live it up. Even more than you did in your last life. I got dead drunk, passed out right on the sofa. Until the next day, I was woken up by knocking. I rubbed my pounding hangover headache and opened the door. Outside were Wang Manyun and Du Xiaoman, plus a guy who looked a few years older than me. Probably Jibota, the guy I'd seen in my past life. His face was full of grief and anger. He was holding a little boy around 6 or 7. The kid looked a lot like Liu Ruyan. Could it be that this is Liu Ruyan's secret son with him? No wonder she didn't want kids after we got married. So she'd already had a child with Jibota long ago. All 3 of them looked sad, with heavy dark circles, and a few police officers were behind them. Officer, it's this guy. He cremated my daughter while she was still alive. Arrest him right now. Cremate him too. Let him taste what it's like. Let her taste it. I'd already expected this drama. Just didn't think it would come this fast. I pretended to sigh helplessly and said, Mom, can you please stop joking like that? Then I pulled out the death certificate. Officer, this is my wife's death certificate. My mother-in-law can't accept my wife's passing. She might be having some mental issues. This looks fine. I sighed and continued. My wife and I were married for 3 years. We had a really good relationship. I knew she wouldn't want her body to rot, so I had her cremated right away. Did I do something wrong? Du Xiaoman clutched her chest tightly. You're lying! My daughter was sick of you, you worthless piece of crap. If Boda hadn't been unable to get a divorce back then, Ruyan never would have married you out of spite. You did this on purpose. You cut in line to get her cremated, just to steal my daughter's inheritance and company. I called her company people yesterday, I confirmed it. What excuse do you have left? I put on a look of total disbelief. My eyes turned red like they were bleeding. Mom, you can insult me. But what Ruyan and I had was real. If what we had wasn't real, how could she make me her sole heir? You say Ruyan is still alive? Think about it. A big hospital like that. Can't they tell if someone is dead or alive? Manyun told me herself. She said Ruyan was brain dead, and her heart had stopped. What living person is like that? Du Xiaoman signaled Wang Manyun to speak, but Wang Manyun just kept her head down. Makes sense, honestly. If she admitted now that the death certificate was fake, her crime would be huge. Better to just let the mistake stand. The situation hit a standstill. Jibota tugged on Du Xiaoman's sleeve. Du Xiaoman stopped talking. She sighed. Ruyan, she really isn't dead. I'm Ruyan's boyfriend.
我是如烟的男朋友。
Back then, Ruyan and I broke up over a misunderstanding, and she married you out of spite. I got divorced this year. I came here with my kid to find Ruyan. Ruyan also realized she still loves me, so she wanted to fake her death to leave you. But who would have thought? You went ahead and cremated Ruyan. But don't blame Ruyan. She only did this because she didn't want to hurt you. She's a kind person. Now that Ruyan is gone, all we want is for you to accept this child. Let the child get the inheritance they deserve. I took a sip of water and mimicked Du Xiaoman's tone. Bullshit, Mom. I know you and Ruyan didn't have a good relationship. Ruyan didn't leave you a penny in her will before she died, so you brought this kid from who knows where to frame Ruyan. To try to get a piece of Ruyan's inheritance, right? Du Xiaoman was almost pissed off by me. But for the money, she held it together. Bullshit! Ruyan and I had a great relationship. This is Ruyan's child. I know for sure. I pulled out Liu Ruyan's will directly. Mom, why are you lying? If you and Ruyan were so close, why isn't your name even on this will? Why is all the inheritance going to me? Du Xiaoman was speechless. Jibota hesitated. After all, he couldn't just say, Liu Ruyan made a will for me just so I'd take on her debt. I glanced at the child standing behind Jibota and sneered to myself. I said, after playing the good wife for 3 years, why'd you suddenly stop pretending? Turns out your first love and his son are back. But to be honest, I wasn't upset. Since I've already died once, I said calmly, you say this kid is Ruyan's, and show me the proof. Like a legally recognized paternity test or a birth certificate. Jibota and Du Xiaoman said in unison, there's no paternity test, because the child was born at home, so there's no birth certificate either. But the child is definitely Ruyan's. Officer, do you see now? They knew my wife had been cremated, so they purposely brought a kid to my door to claim inheritance, and even made up that scary story about me cremating my wife. But everything they said contradicts itself. Du Xiaoman said anxiously, I can get a DNA test with the child to prove I'm the grandmother. Wouldn't that also prove the child is Ruyan's? The officer shook his head. That doesn't count. It only proves you and the child are related, but it doesn't prove your relationship with Liu Ruyan. Even if it could, it wouldn't confirm that you and your husband only had Ruyan as your daughter. I held back a laugh. Actually, a big reason I insisted on cremating Liu Ruyan was because I was worried about exactly this. Didn't expect my gamble to pay off. Du Xiaoman and Jibota exchanged a look. Jibota gritted his teeth. Regardless of whose child this is, Ruyan isn't dead! He cremated Ruyan! He's a murderer. He can't inherit Ruyan's estate. What Jibota said wasn't wrong, but the prerequisite is you have to prove I'm the murderer. I suddenly looked at Wang Manyun. Manyun, you tell us, is Ruyan alive or dead? You're a doctor, and you have a family. Think carefully before you speak. You might not remember, but I do. Back then, it was you and Mom who rushed up and pressed the cremation button. If Ruyan really is alive, then you and Mom are the murderers. I framed their attempt to stop me as deliberately pushing the button. Before Du Xiaoman could even say bullshit, Wang Menyun gritted her teeth and said, "Sister Ruyan is really dead." I breathed a sigh of relief. But then Jibota raised his phone. I knew you'd lie. So I brought proof. Jibota played the video on his phone. This video shows Jibota, Liu Ruyan, Wang Menyun, and Du Xiaoman sitting on the couch, discussing the fake death plan. Liu Ruyan's voice came from the phone. Just as disgusting as in the previous life. I'll get some anesthesia. You find a way to knock my husband out, and then tell him that I've been cremated. After it's done, I'll give you $1 million. But this recording isn't complete. It doesn't include the part where they discussed how to make me take on the debt. Wang Menyun crouched down, completely at a loss for words. I don't know. Jibota seemed relieved. I'm not lying to you. You really did kill Ruyan, so you should go to jail. And all this inheritance should belong to Auntie. I acted like I was scared and didn't say anything. After building up my emotions for a bit, I looked heartbroken. Officer, I want to report a crime. The three of them deliberately made my wife fake her death, and didn't tell me. I was so devastated back then. I didn't even notice my wife had passed. They both knew I wanted to donate my wife's organs, and have her cremated. Yet they deliberately didn't tell me that my wife wasn't dead. They did it on purpose, intentionally making me cremate my wife, and then came to my door with a kid to steal the inheritance. I knew my wife had passed away. I cremated her according to the normal procedure. How is that wrong? Clearly it's not. They didn't expect me to be so articulate. They thought I would break down when I heard this, and let them lead me by the nose, but I've already died once. I'm no longer the naive and dumb me from my past life. The moment I woke up, I had already planned out every step ahead. My voice was hoarse from sorrow. Back then, when I wanted to donate her organs, Mom, you were there too. When you refused to donate, why didn't you tell me the truth? If it was just about getting a divorce, why wouldn't I agree? No, it was you. You deliberately deceived Ruyan, made her believe your nonsense, made her choose to fake her death, turning me into the villain who sent his own wife to the crematorium. How could you be so cruel? Because Ruyan said I had to make you believe. So I had to stop you from donating organs and couldn't tell you the truth. Then what about this? On my way to the crematorium, you called me, which means you knew I was going to cremate Ruyan. I was too heartbroken to pick up the phone. Then why didn't you just text me? And when I got to the crematorium, Ruyan hadn't even been cremated yet. Why didn't you tell the truth? Instead, you deliberately pressed the incineration button in front of everyone. Du Xiaoman and Wang Menyun were speechless. But I knew. Because they were overconfident that there was still time. If they could just get me out of the way for a bit at the crematorium, they'd pull it off. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? In the end, that whole drama went nowhere. We were just arguing back and forth, each side with their own story. So the cops took all of us to the station and held us for investigation. After a few days of looking into it, they found out I was just a clueless husband who had no idea Liu Ruyan was cheating. I never asked about her business trips, never checked her phone. They talked to my neighbors, friends, and co-workers, checked the home security footage, and confirmed we were a happy couple who never even fought. And of course, the cops had no clue I was reborn. Based on the evidence, how could a husband like me randomly kill his wife? But Du Xiaoman, Wang Menyun, and Jibota, their stories were full of holes. They had a million chances to tell me Liu Ruyan wasn't dead, but they waited until after I cremated her, especially Wang and Du. They both saw Ruyan go into the incinerator, still wouldn't come clean, and even pressed the button themselves. They said it was an accident, but who's buying that? On top of that, the whole fake death thing was already insane. So the conclusion, I was just an innocent, heartbroken widower. The other three were locked up for attempted murder. After getting bail, Du and Ji were furious. They kept sending people to jump me. I tried security, then the cops, but they were like a bad rash. Wouldn't go away. Finally, I had no choice. I used Liu Ruyan's inheritance to hire 100 bodyguards. I told them, if anyone starts trouble, beat everyone except those two ugly faces to a pulp. I'll pay the fines. A few times of that, and Du and Ji were fine. But the people they stirred up? They ended up in the hospital for a whole month's worth of KPI. Eventually, no matter how hard they tried, nobody wanted to cause trouble with them anymore. The two of them were helpless, just glaring at me like they wanted me dead. I loved watching them squirm while I enjoyed life right in front of them. Champagne, sports cars, beautiful women. I made up for all my regrets from my past life and it drove Du and Ji crazy. 3 months later, the verdict came down. All three were found guilty of murder, sentenced to life in prison. When the cops showed up with the warrant, Du Xiaoman put on a real show, crying, screaming, acting like she was about to die. She climbed onto the balcony, threatened to jump, yelled that I murdered my own wife and was worse than an animal, that the cops were corrupt and didn't care about justice. A crowd gathered downstairs. Du Xiaomin thought she saw a way out. She tried to rally them to take her side, pouring on the tears and emotion. Then after a whole hour, someone muttered, "So are you jumping or what? Stop wasting our time." Du got so mad she jumped up, but her foot slipped and she fell straight down. Bam, dead on the spot. Wang Menyun didn't have it easy either. Once word got out, her husband divorced her immediately, took the kids away, and told them to cut all ties with her. Don't even call her mom anymore. Before the cops came, Wang begged me more than once. She asked me to write a letter of forgiveness for old time's sake. She said she'd do anything if I just forgave her. She didn't want to lose her family. But hey, when my family fell apart in my past life, who felt sorry for me? You make your own mess, you clean it up yourself. One last time she stripped naked in front of me, I just laughed and had my 100 bodyguards throw her out. Later I heard she tried to kill herself in prison several times but never succeeded. And Jibota, even funnier, he tried to play the family card. The kid is innocent, all that. Said since I loved Ruyan so much, how could I let her flesh and blood lose both parents and become an orphan? He claimed the kid was super smart and could help manage my company someday. As for himself, he said he wasn't greedy. As the biological father, all he wanted was a few million for retirement. He promised never to show up again. So I smiled and told him, I've already found a good orphanage, the kid won't suffer. As for you, Ruyan's lonely down there. You should keep her company. With G screaming and cursing at me, I just laughed and walked out of the police station, finally done with all that crap. After it was all over, I let go of the 100 bodyguards and gave them generous severance pay. But there was this one female bodyguard, super dedicated on the job. And we just clicked. She was good looking, and I could see real loyalty in her. So I sold my old place, used the inheritance from Ruyan to buy a bigger, better house, and moved in there with her. Just the two of us. As for Ruyan's ashes, I kept them with me. Because I believe the dead can see us. I want her to watch from above and see just how happy I am. So Mr. Lin, what's next? That hot, sharp-eyed female bodyguard, suddenly she looked a little shy, nervously rubbing her hands behind me. I smiled. Just answering the country's call. Gonna try for triplets.